Imagine a wave rising out of the sea. For a few seconds, it has its own shape, its own height, its own direction. It looks separate, but it isn't. It's the ocean moving. Almost 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor sat down, often at night, and wrote himself reminders about something surprisingly similar, that he wasn't as separate from everyone else as his life made him feel. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He wasn't writing a philosophy book. He was running an empire, fighting wars on the frontier, dealing with difficult people, and carrying the weight of enormous responsibility. And yet, in the middle of all that, he kept returning to one question. Are we really separate from one another, competing for our own piece of the world? Or are we part of something much larger, whether we remember it or not? Marcus's answer begins with reason, the part of you that can think, judge, and choose how to respond. Marcus believed that this rational faculty wasn't something each person possessed privately. It came from a common source. Think about the ocean. Every wave looks different. One is tall, another is small. One crashes against the shore, another barely moves. But underneath the differences, it's all water. Marcus saw human beings in much the same way. We may have different personalities, ambitions, histories, and opinions. But beneath all those differences is the same capacity to reason, to understand, and to choose. And once you see people that way, something else becomes obvious. Nothing exists completely on its own. A wave doesn't rise independently of the ocean. The current doesn't move without affecting the water around it. And neither do we. One person's anger can become another person's anger. One person's patience can interrupt that chain. We are constantly affecting one another, whether we notice it or not. Marcus described this interconnectedness as a kind of natural sympathy, everything bound together, everything influencing everything else, which makes his attitude toward fate much easier to understand. Marcus writes, almost like a vow, "Whatever is agreeable to the universe is agreeable to me." At first, that can sound like surrender, like saying, I have no choice, so I'll just accept whatever happens. But that's not really the point. The ultimate point is that you have the ability to recognize what is happening, decide what it means, and choose how you will meet it. So acceptance isn't about becoming passive. It's about stopping the exhausting fight against reality simply because reality isn't giving you what you wanted. The wave doesn't waste its energy arguing with the ocean. It moves with it. And then Marcus takes this idea somewhere even more personal. He imagines what happens when a person cuts themselves off from the whole. Through selfishness, through resentment, through bitterness, through simply deciding, I don't need anyone. You begin to live as though you are a separate thing. But separation comes with a cost. Think about water trapped in a tide pool after the ocean pulls away. For a while, it still looks like its own little world. But without connection to the sea, it becomes stagnant. It starts drying out. That is what can happen to us when we pull away from the larger human whole. We become more isolated, more resentful, more consumed by ourselves. We live in a culture that constantly teaches us to be independent, look out for yourself, protect your interests, win, build your own life. And there's nothing wrong with any of that until independence becomes isolation, until success means getting ahead while everyone else becomes an obstacle. Marcus would remind us that a wave cannot win by becoming the only wave in the ocean. Its existence depends on the very thing it is trying to separate itself from. So what does this mean on an ordinary Tuesday? When someone irritates you, disappoints you, or gets in your way, try seeing them as part of the same ocean you're swimming in, not as an enemy dropped into your life to make it harder. That doesn't mean you tolerate bad behavior. It means you don't turn another person's behavior into a reason to poison your own mind. And when you're about to act purely out of self-interest, ask yourself, am I moving with the current, or am I fighting the whole ocean just to get my way? And if you've already drifted away, if you've become cold, selfish, resentful, or disconnected, don't assume you've gone too far. You're not a rock sitting outside the sea. You're the water. You can return.